we wanted to unbox the Solar Flare for you today so that you can see what was inside it. It's one of my favorite kits. How about yours?
Actually, I haven't done too much. This is paper piecing,
right?
It
is paper piecing. It's foundation paper piecing.
Actually.
So we've got a couple of people in the store that have bought it, and they are thinking about, well, they're going to be starting it soon. I have been looking at it thinking, gosh, it sure would be a fun project. I love paper piecing because of the accuracy of it. So the one neat thing about her kit, number one, it comes with all the fabric inside. And you can see it's just a yummy and scrumptious
These are
array.
all her basics.
Yeah, they are. They're all true colors. And there's just the yummy assortment of all the colorful pieces that go into the paper piecing of this quilt. So one of the things that is nice about her kits is that she gives you the color of all the fabric, the name of the fabrics, the color of them, and how much you need of each one, so that you can match the colors to the
what sizes
fabric.
they need to be cut.
Exactly, what sizes they are cut, so you can find the name of the fabric with the colored picture.
That's pretty nifty.
The other thing that she does is always has a great colorful instructions inside. This one is let's see it's our intermediate level pattern, simply because you might need to know some of the basics of paper piecing.
Okay.
So one of the first things that you do when you're paper piecing is you group your colors by group your fabric in colors. Here, we're going to get back to the page here shortly, that you need for each of the sections. So you need to make block 1, you make 4, block 2, you make 4, block 3, you make 4. Oh. So what you do is you select all these colors and put them in this array. And
so you can get these.
Right. So what you do is you cut 2.5-inch strips, and I usually, it says to cut them into sections, but usually what I do when I paper pieces, I just cut the 2.5-inch strips and start from that.
Okay.
And then as you need the piece, you cut it to the size you need it, and so that you don't pre-cut all these and can't find them later. So your whole fabric is all still put together, so that maybe I start from the non-salvage in, so that I still maybe have some of the salvage, because sometimes I will write the fabric number, like fabric X, fabric B, fabric T, fabric N, fabric Z, fabric C, in the white salvage, so that I can find this fabric easier as you go along. You can't really write in the color side of the salvage, but in the white side of the salvage, you definitely can write what color number it is on your 2.5-inch strip, so that when you come back to it again, you're able to find it. It's much easier to find. Some people find it's easy to take a snip of it and put it on a color card next to and write each of the different colors down, and then put a staple a snip or tape a snip of the fabric onto it, so that you always can reference back to the color that you're looking for.
So it's these fabrics broken down into here, right?
Because here, your BB, BB
yeah,
fabric
and that's hard to tell with just the solid color.
Is the same as BB right here, so they're mirror images because they're on the opposite side. So they're not. You're going to make 4 one way and 4 the other. So if you have BB,
see how she's doing that here.
Yeah. So if you have BB on the end of your fabric, you can find it faster.
No kidding.
To know which one you're looking for and make sure you're piecing the right one. And sometimes the other thing that I do, so this one comes with all the paper that you need to do the paper piecing. So, and it is a pretty big array of paper. So sometimes what I'll do before I even start, we'll designate out in the salvage, because this is where you're going to piece, and this is what you're going to eventually cut off. I will put what piece number it is, and then I will just go ahead and write with a light pencil what all these different color numbers are. So this one would be, use this as your reference and write in, I've got to make 4. So this is block, like let's say this is block 2. You got to make 4 of these. So I would write block 2 on the side, 1, block 2, 3, block 2, so that I know that I have just 4. And then I would start over here and put my colors on them. BB, so it's J, A, M, O, D, W. So that when I'm going around, I know what color it is, and it's also on the salvage of the piece that I'm working with.
That's a really smart idea.
And then I would make sure I had the next ones done, like this one, write block 3, write it on 4 of them, and then actually put the color array on this one too. So that if I get all my paper pieces done in advance and I make sure that they're all correct and I group them together, then I know I'm doing it correct. So to come back each time and go, oh, well, how many of these have I made? How many of these have I made? How many of these have I made? I like to take my paper first, mark out here what it is that you're making, and then actually put your colors inside there. So that it makes it much easier when you're foundation paper piecing, if you have the information on the foundation paper piece. And I've even been known to take like an array of highlighters and highlight a color in there too, so that I know, so I know what colors can be. This one has a little more colors than what you can get highlighters for, because you can't get 6 shades of purple highlighters. I'd love to be able to.
Hang on, we could do like Crayolas or colored pencils. We'll get creative.
You could. So the other great thing about this kit, or the interesting thing about this kit, is the only way to get this pattern is if you buy the kit.
I have heard that about Tula.
The pattern is nowhere else to be found on the internet. The only way you get the pattern is if you buy the kit. And that's the great thing, because this paper would be more difficult to print up as big as it is. And all the paper you need for your foundation pieces comes inside here.
That's really awesome.
So I think that's really good to know that when you get this, you're going to have everything you need to be able to sit down and sew. So another little tidbit that I like to do when I first get a kit started is like I have 2 sewing machines or 3 sewing machines, and so sometimes I start it like on retreat, okay, and then I may want to sew on it at home. So a lot of times what I'll do is on the front of the pattern, I'll put even if you don't want to write on your pattern, you can put a sticky note on it, at least what machine I'm using, the size of needle I'm using, because the needles are in all kinds of different, come in different sizes. I like to use a number 8 when I'm paper piecing, because it makes a little bit bigger hole. I don't really like the 9 to 14, like the 8 to 20. The 9 to 14 I find a little bit too big of a hole for me. So I put the size of needle I'm using and what weight or what thread I'm using too, because even threads have different dimensions and everything, and can cause on paper piecing it not to be the same when you're all done.
Yeah.
And having a nice tight stitch, also what stitch length I'm using.
That's important.
So that I have that right, because you got to tighten the stitch length so that you have everything you need on like a sticky note or on the front of the pattern. So when you go back to it again to start, because I normally don't start and finish a project. This is a project that would take a little bit of time to complete, because there's so many sections to it that you're going to want to have a reference of what you did in the beginning to come back to and start again. And that way you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you start.
Which is really nice.
Which is really nice, because it'll tell you set thread, set the size to X, or, tighten your stitches to X, whatever you choose. That's your number, so that everything will be consistent all the way through. So I find the more notes I can keep on on your pattern, the better off you are. And even if it's a sticky on your pattern, it's better than nothing. So I always make some notes, or a separate sheet of paper with notes as to what machine, thread, needle, and stitch length I'm using on a pattern.
I think that's also fun too, because if you were to come back and reuse this pattern, you already have all that too written down.
You definitely do, and that's why you may want to make a copy of this for a reference, in case you want to make it out of a different range of fabric lines, or a different color range. You can make a copy of these to use, as long as you use it for your personal use.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, this is the Solar Flare. We hope that you get excited about it. We are, and it's really a fun quilt to put together.
I'll say those blocks you broke it apart in made me way less overwhelmed.
yeah, because you just break it down step by step.
Yeah, into these little sections, and then it doesn't seem so intimidating.
It doesn't seem so intimidating. Well, maybe we'll have a sew along so you can learn how to foundation piece.
There you go. You'll have to be the teacher.
Okay. Well, y'all.
Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much for joining us. Y'all have a great day. Bye.